Hi, and welcome back. So, as you may know, I am Tolan. Actually, sort of random side note, all of my mom's side of the family are Tolans. Tolan is actually usually my mom's, actually it's always my mom's last name. So, le nom de famille de ma mère, the family name of my mother is Tolan. Tolan is my first name. No, my name is not Tolan. Okay, so moving beyond that, I'm Tolan. You are... Oh, so nice to meet you. No, but more seriously, today there's something that I personally want to talk about. And the thing that I find super interesting is this thought exercise of what I wish I knew when I was 20. Diverging briefly from the thought exercise of what I wish I knew when I was 20. Giving a little bit of context, What I Wish I Knew Was 20 is actually the title of a book written by Tina Seelig. Tina Seelig is a professor at Stanford University. She is sort of in charge of the ETL, so the Entrepreneurial Thought Leader Program, or at least she used to be. I'm not sure. I should have Googled that before this video. Sorry. But anyway, Tina Seelig is this really interesting thought leader. At least I think she's a really interesting thought leader. And she's written a couple of books. One of the books is called What I Wish I Knew When I Was 20. And sort of an abstraction of this, or my takeaway from the book is there are these things that we may realize a little bit later in life that when we have the hindsight of 2020 and we've sort of internalized some of these models or beliefs or worldviews, then it's an interesting thing to think about, like what we wish that we would know if we were 20, or sort of like what advice might we give to our 20-year-old self, or say if we had children or a child. I'm not saying like if you and I had a child, but separately in our lives, someday we might have a child and children. All of us may have individual children or childs. Maybe you get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, say one day that you have a child, and your child's about to graduate high school, like about to start freshman year, about to start college. Maybe he or she is not going to college, but with this thought exercise, they are going to college, or just sort of like moving out of the nest, as happens in a lot of at least Western cultures. And what sort of life lessons or ideas, there's a mosquito, I'm going to be slightly distracted. But anyway, sort of what things that you believe or understand now might you want to give to someone. So that's sort of the context of what I wish I knew when I was 20. Borrowing that idea, checking out from the library of life, so to speak, I've started thinking about some of the things that I wish I knew when I was 20. I'm now 31, so getting kind of old, moving up to, the big 3, personally big 4, and then maybe I'll die, who knows? Maybe I'll die at 40, maybe I'll die at 30. That's beside the point. But the point that I'm trying to make, in a very bloated, verbose manner, is it's a super interesting thought exercise, or it's a super interesting thought process to think about how you see the world now, as compared to how you saw it before or understood it before, and sort of what insights, what opinions might you bestow upon a different version of yourself if you could go back in time. And so I guess this video series, or the sort of some of the sub videos that might come to follow this one, is really sort of looking at that. And so let's jump into the vif du sujet, comme ils disent en français. Also, I'm in Paris, so I might just randomly start speaking French. But let's get started. Okay, so I guess I should be honest. Honesty is, a good skill or characteristic to emulate or aspire to. I regularly feel super dumb. I regularly feel really frustrated with the person I am, which is odd because I also feel really content and at peace with that. But there's these sort of two parallel tracks, and one of them is feeling regularly quite dumb. And sort of, why might I feel dumb? Well, one of the things that sort of seems to push me towards this feeling of doubt or frustration or dumbness, if that's a word, is is the idea that, or sort of the point of view now that I have, that I've been like living much of my life in a state of fear. Let's dig into that a little bit. So there's this thing called the imposter syndrome. It's a psychological phenomenon where people, such as myself, feel that they are fake, that they're not good enough, that they're frustrated because everyone seems to think that they're fine or okay or even good, but internally you feel really insecure and you have a lot of self-doubt. And that self-doubt sort of makes you think and feel like you're an imposter, and that your friends, family, colleagues, peers, someone, if not everyone, is going to discover that you are indeed a fake, that you are indeed less good than they perceive you to be, and that your whole life is ruined. Now, that's a sort of a imperfect explanation of imposter syndrome, but that's what we're going to go with for now. So, anyway, I've been dealing with this thing of imposter syndrome for a while now. For a while, like 28 plus years. And right around the age of 28, 29, I started to examine things differently. I had like collected, intentionally, not intentionally, 28 plus years of data on myself, on my own life. And I had this like persistent feeling of doubt ever since I was little, seemed to be contradicted by a different analyses that you could run with this data, meaning like I felt like I was an imposter. I felt like I might suck. I felt like people might call me out and everything would fall apart. But actually I had like accomplished some pretty cool things. You know, I was no Zuckerberg, no Gates, not even, what is his name? Robbins? Tony Robbins. Like, I had tried to entrepreneur. I was a wantrepreneur, I guess, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, I had tried to start a business. It didn't work. I had gone to college. I worked a lot in college. I, like, got 2 degrees. I obsessed around grades. I made a lot of mistakes, like assessing around grades. Grades are relatively useless for most things after you graduate. But I just like had this idea that, you know, maybe I wasn't as terrible as my self-doubt was provoking me towards thinking. And as I've sort of gone through this exercise over the last few years, like thinking about why I have and had, but particularly had, it's less intense now, the imposter syndrome, the self-doubt, why I was so anxious around being a fake, was, I think, partly just because I didn't know who I was. I was like afraid to take an opinion on who I was, and so I was projecting what I thought other people wanted to be on sort of mapping that onto myself, and I felt that there was some discongruence, like some cognitive dissonance, and that was like really frustrating. So in this video and following videos, we'll sort of examine some of my misguided beliefs, some of my false beliefs, and give advice to my 20-year-old self, or even like 4-year-old self, because I think it started about then. So I will see you in the next video. Feel free to not watch any more videos if you think this sucks, if it's not worth your time. But if you do want to stick around, I look forward to seeing you, and thanks for watching. Cheers.